It's yet another match day at the ongoing FIFA World Cup in Qatar, and Morocco, the only African representative left at the Mundial, is set to face the 2010 world champion Spain. 6 teams are already seeded for the quarter-final stage, and it remains to be seen which other nations will join that class. Arise correspondent Aron Akerejola joins us now from the venue for an update. Aron, good to have you on Newsday. Over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Cynthia. Good afternoon to you, Bye. And I must actually tell you that before we get into the festivities of today, understanding that the round of 16 actually ends today. So if you haven't made the court, that means you would have to wait till 2026 in USA, Mexico, and Canada to actually play in the quarterfinals. But let's look at how things played out yesterday. Asian teams were in action yesterday. We expected quite a lot from them, but unfortunately, they did not live up to the high billing. They were miracle workers, so to speak, in the group stages, qualifying by the whiskers, literally, and engineering massive upsets and ensuring that they could go as far as they could, and showing great promise, showing why we love the beautiful game. But it was unfortunate that on the day both Asian teams fell flat, because yesterday Japan went against Croatia. Spirited display. Maeda actually put them ahead before Perisic actually clawed their way back into that particular game. They stretched into extra time. Penalties was to decide, and the lottery of penalties did rob Japan, and the Blue Samurais the wrong way. Failing to convert, only scoring 2. He ended 4 goals to 2 on penalties, meaning that Croatia once again have won another penalty shootout, and everyone will be dreading to face Croatia in a penalty shootout, because they do have the mental resilience, they do have ice in their veins, they do have the composure from 12 yards to be able to bury penalty kicks. They had 2 in 2018 and 1 in 2022. The first penalty shootout game we've actually seen in this particular competition, and that meant that Japan and the stars that shone like a million over the course of the group stage fell by the wayside. It was rather unfortunate. A lot of people expected that the giant killing ways would continue, but that was the end of the road for them. Another Asian side, South Korea, yesterday went against one of the favorites, talking about the Seleção of Brazil, and I must say that Brazil were very comfortable on the day. Brazil were predominantly too dominant. They were too dominant on the day. It was almost a show of shame, understanding that they were able to get a consolation, but 4 goals to 1, and the Brazilians didn't even feel any pressure. They were not ruffled, so to speak. They were dancing, celebrating all their goals. The coach was dancing, and some even saying that the coach Tite was mocking the South Koreans, although he has come to deny that. That was how comfortable the Brazilian win was yesterday. Neymar dos Santos Jr. was back in the squad, and he got a very, very crucial goal from the penalty spot. Paqueta, Richarlison all adding to the gloss, which was a massive win, and everyone will be trying to avoid Brazil at the moment, because they are good for the money and they are looking like they are going for glory. Of course, they actually did that massive Pele tribute and actually celebrated him to get well soon. Their most iconic player, talking about the Seleção, having won several World Cups. Let's see if the Brazilians can actually do something for Pelé this time around. The last time they actually won the World Cup was back in 2002 when Korea-Japan hosted this particular tournament. Unfortunate for them, Korea-Japan yesterday crashed out of the World Cup. And as it stands now, Brazil and Croatia will be going through. Looking at how things will play out today, today we'll be wrapping up everything concerning the round of 16 as we move into the business end of this particular competition. Now let's start it off with the game. Portugal against Switzerland. Everyone seems to be tipping Portugal, and all eyes once again will be on their star man Cristiano Ronaldo. Some are saying that with him in the team looks a little bit jaded, the team looks a little bit leggy, the team is not as fluid as it should be, understanding that they have the likes of Bernardo Silva, they have the likes of João Felix, the likes of Bruno Fernandes in the mix, but with Cristiano Ronaldo, he seems to be dragging them back. 37 years of age, he had problems with Manchester United, he's left Manchester United right now, and he says his focus is on the Portuguese national team and how far they can go at this particular World Cup. This will be his final World Cup, and what he does will be instrumental, and what he does will probably cement his legacy, understanding that some will say that his fracas with Manchester United has tainted his legacy in football, but we'll have to wait and see. He's only gotten one goal from the penalty spot this season. He claimed he had another, which was rightfully given to Bruno Fernandes, but let's see what actually happens against a Swiss side who also have been hit and miss, if you'd ask me, with the likes of Granit Xhaka, Xherdan Shaqiri. A lot of people expected more from the Swiss side or the Red Cross, but unfortunately for the Red Cross, they've not really lit up this tournament. They will need to raise their game if they are to progress into the final 8 today against Portugal. But the big one that everyone is expecting is the last man standing from Africa, from the CAF region, talking about the Atlas Lions of Morocco. Morocco have been the surprise of this particular tournament. If you'd ask me, Morocco have been tipped to be the dark horses in this particular tournament. They go against the La Fiora of Spain. Spain had a game to remember in their opening encounter against Costa Rica, where they finished 7-0 and completely decimating the Costa Ricans. We thought Spain would go on to win their other matches, but what a shocker they had. Of course, they drew against Germany and ultimately lost their final game. And as it stands right now, Morocco will be hoping to capitalize on that. Al Nasri, the likes of Hakim Ziyech will be hoping to raise their game, and more importantly, not just raise their game, ensure they take the fight to Spain, knowing that their defense are susceptible to goals. And if they actually can prod, if they can actually pry that defense open, certainly they will find themselves in the last 8. Morocco have been phenomenal, if you'd ask me, and every African here, every Arab country here in Qatar are rooted that Morocco goes through. So Morocco right now are carrying the hopes of Africa and the Arab region.
What a daunting position to be in for Morocco. But Aron, I'd like to take us back to, earlier you made reference to Brazil. And of course, what an outing it's been for them. And I know Coach Tite is one of the only coaches who has fielded all 26 of his players throughout this World Cup. But let's focus on the stars. Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, all through to the quarterfinals. Now, which one of PSG's front three do you think is going to bring home the World Cup? Because it looks like PSG is going to have a taking in this year's World Cup.
It's looking like it, and it's looking more like the Seleção of Brazil might just nick this one. But nothing is guaranteed at this World Cup. You will need to earn what you get. For Argentina, they have not been as convincing as Brazil. France also have not been as convincing as Brazil, although we've had Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappe shine like a million stars at this particular tournament. They've literally glittered and glowed. They are actually the shining light. They are actually the fulcrum of the team. They actually are the tipping spear of their respective national teams. But for Brazil, like you mentioned, the depth in squad, the array of stars, the fact that everyone seemed to be rising to the occasion, I would just be tipping a Brazilian team to actually win this. But we're still far away from the finals. We'll still have to, from the permutations, some are even suggesting that we might have the final before the final. Because if everything goes according to some predictors, we might be having a... That is something that everyone will how things actually play out. For now, we know that these teams, they need to still go out there, do their business, and ensure that they actually play the best they can for their national teams. But I must tell you that Tite has been quite convincing for me as in terms of how he's gone about his business at this World Cup.
Very well said, Aron. Now, we understand that Samuel Eto'o was filmed brutally attacking a man outside of the World Cup stadium, allegedly. What update do you have for us concerning that?
Little has actually come in terms of what's really transpired, what probably infuriated Samuel Eto'o feels, or what rubbed the Cameroonian FA president the wrong way. But Samuel Eto'o is a man with a short fuse. So the video, if we were to go by the video, analyzing the video, the man was probably filming Samuel Eto'o when he was coming out of the game between Brazil and South Korea yesterday. And maybe he was too close to comfort. He was getting too close to comfort, and Samuel Eto'o just took out his frustration on him. Nobody knows what sparked that. People tried to wade in, but Samuel Eto'o just wrestled the man, and some said he brutally assaulted the man. I must say that I'm not surprised. I've actually had brushes with Samuel Eto'o some few years ago in Ghana. He's not the friendliest of persons. I would say that for sure. He's not the friendliest of persons, but that's what sometimes we just accommodate the stars, because some of them are as eccentric as they come. But this is not good for Cameroonian football. This is not good for FIFA. And this is not good for the man himself, Samuel Eto'o, because he's loved world over. He's played at some of the biggest clubs in the world, from Chelsea to Barcelona. He was at Real Madrid at some point in his career. He's been to Inter Milan. He's been a journeyman, and he's garnered quite a lot of fans. So getting that kind of attention, it shouldn't be a surprise. So I'm shocked that Samuel Eto'o Fuse would have reduced himself to having a squabble with a man that was trying to take a picture of him.
Very troubling news indeed, and I hope you can keep us abreast with any developments on that, especially as this particular World Cup has been celebrated for the hospitality that Qatar has given everybody who's come around. But Aron Akerejola, a Rise Sports correspondent live from Qatar, thank you so much for that update.